Hi, I'm Dave, founder of Halloween Yarn, and today I'm talking about Bone Lake, the new horror movie whose marketing department definitely knew what they were doing when they intentionally put the R rating where they did on the poster. This is a movie that I enjoyed it for what it is. It's by no means, I hate to use this word, it's not artsy enough to be elevated horror, it's not schlocky enough to be schlock, and it's not really mainstream enough to be mainstream. It sort of is in this weird spot. If that's the triangle, it's in the middle of the triangle where horror fans like me found stuff to enjoy in it, but we'll get to it. Let's talk about Bone Lake.
Now, there are things about us and each other that you're never gonna know.
It seems like someone wanted all of us here.
Right from the opening scene, you think you're in for one thing. And unfortunately, the rest of the movie never really captures like that frenetic, insane energy of that opening scene and a particular opening kill that you're like, oh my god. But we move into the traditional, this is the part of the movie, and I might do a whole video on this. Horror is the only genre that has to pretend it is a different genre in the first act before the horror actually starts. So this is like an awkward romantic sex comedy about this couple. They're going to stay in this beautiful lake house. And there's another couple who's there, and they're like, oh, we're double booked. I guess we'll spend the weekend together. And then awkward hilarity ensues. And I really do want to emphasize just how much this movie relishes in how awkward it is, particularly in the first half. It is not afraid to make its characters and its audience intentionally uncomfortable, and I kind of love that it just went for it and did that. Then the horror starts, and while I'm not really going to get into spoilers here, essentially this movie, going into this, being a fan of horror, having seen as many horror movies as I have, yes, there's definitely elements of knock knock, speak no evil, and just a dash of barbarian kind of thrown in, all mixed together. It borrows, it's derivative of all these things, but it has enough of its own unique energy and enough of its own unique voice to kind of get away with that when it's trying to be the awkward, romantic comedy with the couples and them, having their fights that hit a little close to home about some of the issues that they were arguing out that real couples do argue and have issues with. And then when it goes full horror, it goes full horror. It goes full splatter. If you're looking for that type of level of violent gore, you will not be disappointed. If anything, I feel like it doesn't commit enough to the other part of it. And what I mean by that is, and there's no way for me to say this without sounding like a pervert.
I'm not a pervert.
So I'm just gonna come out and say it. The movie oddly is tame when it comes to its intimate scenes and when it comes to nudity. Now, there is one particular scene you're like, oh my god, because again, it is rated R for graphic nudity, which if you see it, you know the scene I'm talking about. But for a movie that bills itself as erotic horror and that is so much about, you know, the uncomfortable sexual tension and that is so much about seduction, when it comes to those parts, it's oddly PG-13. Now, again, I'm not saying, don't come at me like, oh, you just want to see naked people. No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that a movie needs to fit the tone at which it is. And that if it was going to be oddly PG-13 in those scenes, it might as well have been toned down in the horror violent part, and this could have been a more mainstream R-rated movie. And that's what I mean by it doesn't match. I'm not saying that it has to do one or the other, but those two halves of what this movie is feel like they're not necessarily from the same movie, and they're both trying to do different things. And that was, again, I'm not saying you have to. I understand that, there are certain things about, you don't want actors to be uncomfortable. An actor doesn't want to, go nude in the sea. I get that. I understand all that. I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I'm saying it should be equal. I'm looking at you guys. I'm looking at you, Midsummer. Where the guy comes out of the barn running full 28 years later, flopping in the interest of equality. I'm all for that. I'm just saying that this movie, it felt like it didn't commit enough. And even like that opening scene, that opening scene feels like it's from a totally different movie than the middle part of the movie. But then it also kind of fits with the end. It's weird. So I don't dislike this movie. I do, like I said, I enjoyed it for what it is. It's not gonna be on my top 10 of the year, and that's okay. It's kinda one that I just had fun with. It was part of the AMC Scream Unseen. That's like the mystery movie they do, but when it's a horror movie. And I'm glad I saw it. I was thoroughly entertained by it. I think if anything, it should have been advertised more as a comedy because it is an incredibly funny movie, and I saw it with a packed crowd, and we were laughing hysterically throughout it. It was, while it's not one of my favorite movies of the year, it might be one of my favorite movie-going experiences of the year just because you could feed off the energy of that crowd, of the packed theater, everyone cringing together, everybody laughing together, and it was just a really overall entertaining good time. So, is it a great movie? Eh, is it fun? Hell yes. But hey, these are just my thoughts. These are just my ramblings. This is just my channel. If you don't like it, get your own. Just kidding. Watch mine. Let me know in the comments, what did you think of Bone Lake? Have you seen it? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Come at me in the comments. It's what YouTube is for. Like, share, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. If you don't, you may end up stuck on a beautiful house on the lake. That sounds lovely, but with a deadly twist. Not so lovely. And as always, every day is Halloween.